If I could pull up a chair next to the boy I was at 20, if I could look into those young restless eyes, I think I'd just grab his hand and hold it for a minute. I'd say, Elias, get on the train, don't worry about the luggage, just get on. I spent a lifetime waiting for the weather to be perfect before I'd step outside. I'd tell him, listen to me, you're going to survive the things you think will kill you. I know the world feels like a tidal wave right now, and you're just a pebble on the shore, but you're going to hold your ground. You're going to make it to the sunset. I'd tell that young man to stop trying to be a ghost. I spent so many years trying to be quiet, trying to be small, trying to slip through the world without disturbing the air. I thought if I stayed invisible, I'd stay safe. But safety is a cold bed, son. You're here. You've been given a pulse and a voice. Stop apologizing for taking up space. There was a girl, 1952, Sarah Jenkins. She wore this velvet ribbon in her hair, deep blue, almost like the ocean at night. I watched her from across the library for 2 whole years. I knew the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she got to the good part of a book. I knew the way she laughed when she thought no one was looking. I never said a word. I let the silence win. She moved to Chicago that autumn, married a man who probably didn't even notice the ribbon. I'm 94 years old now, and when I close my eyes, I can still see the exact shade of that blue. I'm still waiting for the courage to say hello to a ghost. Don't do that to yourself. Don't live in the almost. People always ask the young, what do you want to be when you grow up? They never ask, what are you willing to carry? The biggest lie they tell you is that it gets easier. It doesn't. The world doesn't get softer. The losses don't get smaller. Grief doesn't shrink. You just get better at carrying the load. It's like a pack you strap to your back. At 20, it feels like it'll break your spine. At 50, it feels heavy but familiar. At 90, you realize the weight was what kept your feet on the ground. You don't want a life that's light as a feather. Feathers just blow away. You want a life that has gravity. When my Clara passed, I thought the gravity would crush me. I didn't think I could draw another breath without her hand to guide it. I prayed to be taken too. But the sun kept coming up, whether I wanted it to or not. Eventually I realized I wasn't carrying her death. I was carrying her life. I was carrying 70 years of laughter and burnt toast and quiet Sundays. It didn't get lighter. I just grew the muscles to hold it. I was born in a dusty corner of the Appalachians in the 30s, a poor boy with nothing but a name. I didn't think I'd see the age of 30, let alone the turn of a century. I'd tell that boy, breathe. Just breathe. You're going to see things that would sound like a fairy tale to you right now. You're going to see the world change in ways you can't imagine. But the most important thing that will change is you. Young people are obsessed with the big moments. They're looking for the wedding day, the grand promotion, the day they buy the house with the porch. They think that's where life is. But I'll tell you a secret I learned after nearly a century of waking up. Life isn't in the trophies. It's in a Tuesday morning. It's the steam rising off your coffee while the house is still quiet. It's the way the light hits the floorboards in the hallway. I spent 55 years as a watchmaker, sitting at a small bench with a magnifying glass, fixing the tiny heartbeats of clocks. People thought it was boring work, but those quiet hours, the smell of the oil, the ticking of 100 different lives on the wall, those were the moments that mattered. The big moments are just the bookends. The chapters are written in the mundane. And don't you dare believe the lie that you have time. You don't. You think you have a mountain of days, but it's really just a handful of sand, and the wind is always blowing. You spend your youth acting like you're immortal, and you spend your old age realizing you were just a guest. Every hour you spend being angry at someone you love is an hour you've thrown into a fire. You don't get it back. You can make more money. You can build a new house, but you cannot manufacture a single second of time. Use it on the people who make your soul feel loud. What does it feel like to be 94? It feels like I'm sitting in a theater after the movie has ended and the credits have finished rolling, just waiting for the usher to come by with a broom and tell me it's time to head out. But the seat is comfortable and I'm in no rush. I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. When you're young, the end feels like a cliff. When you're old, it feels like a soft bed at the end of a very long walk. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm only afraid of the parts of me that I never let live. My biggest regret isn't a mistake I made. It's the things I didn't say. I told Clara I loved her every day, but I don't think I told her why enough. I didn't tell her that the way she hummed when she was gardening was the only thing that kept me sane during the hard years. I didn't tell her that her grace was the only reason I ever believed in anything good. I had 7 decades with that woman. You'd think that would be enough time to say it all. It wasn't. It wouldn't have been enough if I had 1,000 years. So say the thing. Say it until you're hoarse. Don't worry about sounding foolish. Don't worry about being too much. There is no such thing as too much love. There is only not enough and too late. I spent 40 years worrying about what the neighbors thought of me. Decades trying to prove I was successful, trying to prove I was worthy of respect. And then when I buried my friends one by one, I realized that the only opinion that ever truly mattered was the one looking back at me in the mirror and the one sitting across from me at the dinner table. If you want the secret to a long life, I'll give it to you. Stay curious. The moment you stop wondering what's next, you start fading. I wake up every morning and wonder what the birds are talking about, what the news will be, how the tea will taste. I'm still interested in the story, but more importantly, let go. Let go of the grudges you've been nursing like old wounds. Let go of the anger toward your father, or your ex-wife, or the boss who fired you 30 years ago. Holding on to hate is like carrying hot coals in your pockets. You're the only one getting burned. I carried a resentment against my brother for 20 years over a piece of land, 20 years of silence. He died in a car wreck before we could fix it. Now I have the land, and I'd give every inch of it, and the dirt beneath it, just to have one more argument with him. You are enough right now. Not when you lose the weight, not when you get the money, not when you find the partner. Right now. You are a miracle of biology and timing, a once-in-an-eternity event. Do the thing that makes your heart hammer against your ribs. Ask for the dance. Write the letter. Take the long way home. Because one day you'll be 94, sitting in a chair, watching the shadows stretch across the grass. You won't be thinking about your bank account or your job titles. You'll be thinking about a blue ribbon in 1952, about the way the rain smelled on a Tuesday morning. If I had one day left, just one, I wouldn't go to Paris or seek out a crowd. I'd go to the cemetery where Sarah is buried and finally tell her she had the most beautiful laugh I ever heard. Then I'd go home, sit on the porch, and hold my daughter's hand. We wouldn't even have to talk. We'd just sit there and watch the light fade, knowing that we were there, knowing that we didn't miss it. The moment isn't perfect because of what's happening. The moment is perfect because you're in it. Don't wait for the dance to start. Be the music.